Hello there, you're now with me, Handy Gui, and welcome to your 5 p.m. English news on TVS. Now let's dive into the headlines for today. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said Abe, 67, was in grave condition, and the assault on him during the campaign for Sunday's upper house election was an unacceptable attack on the foundation of Japan's democracy.
Shinzo Abe, Japan's longest-serving prime minister, was in grave condition on Friday after being shot while campaigning for a parliamentary election, with public broadcasters NHK saying a man with what appeared to be a homemade gun opened fire. Kishida condemned the shooting in the western city of Nara in the strongest terms. Japanese people expressed shock at the assassination attempt, an extremely rare attack in Japan that its political parties condemn.
驚いたというところ、まさか日本でこんなことが起きると思わなかったので、まず最初の印象としてはすごい驚いたっていうところと、そうですね、とても自分の意見を持ってた首相だったので、悲しいと同時に助かってほしいなっていうところが今第一の感想ですね。
ちょっとショックはショックですね。なんか長い間首相として。
World leaders expressed shock and anguish over Friday's shooting of Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe during a campaign speech and prayed for his quick recovery. Abe was airlifted to a hospital in western Japan, and officials said he was not breathing and his heart has stopped. Police have arrested the suspected gunman at scene. The attack was a shock in one of the world's safest countries with one of the strictest gun control laws.
Former President Donald Trump said he was devastated by the attempt on Abe's life. Australia Prime Minister Anthony Albanese expressed in a post on Twitter that he was shocked that Abe had been shot. U.S. Ambassador to Japan Rahm Emanuel said he was saddened by the shooting and praised Abe for being an unwavering ally of the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the U.S. was deeply saddened and deeply concerned over the attempted killing of Abe. Israeli Ambassador to Japan Gilad Cohen expressed his concern for Abe and commemorated the latest commitment to building diplomacy between their nations. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said her thoughts were with Abe's wife and the Japanese people. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted that he was appalled by the shooting. Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen condemned the attack on Abe, describing him as a good friend of Taiwan. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed the same thoughts. Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong slammed it as a senseless act of violence. Philippine Foreign Secretary Enrique Manolo said he learned the news with great shock and dismay. Malaysian Foreign Minister Saifuddin Abdullah said he was saddened and shocked.
About 380 prospective Hajj pilgrims were stranded at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA on Friday morning, believed to have been cheated by a travel agency. The group, who was gathered at Level 5 KLIA departure hall, are said to have been issued the Furada or private Hajj visa to perform their pilgrimage without going through Lembaga Tabung Haji or TH.
The Furada visa is a private visa reportedly issued by Saudi Arabia without involving the quota allocated to TH. The pilgrims were initially supposed to depart for Jeddah, Saudi Arabia at 4:30 p.m., but they were later told by the travel agency that their flight had been postponed to 7 p.m. However, upon checking, they discovered that the last flight to Jeddah was actually at about 6 p.m. The group also claimed the agency had never shown their flight tickets and visas to perform the Hajj. KLIA District Police Chief ACP Imran Abdul Rahman told the local press that the police have interviewed the owner of the travel company, who is now a suspect in the case. The case is being probed under Section 420 of the Penal Code for cheating, which provides for a jail term of up to 10 years, whipping and a fine if convicted.
Thank you for staying with us. This just in. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died after being shot during a speech on Friday in Nara University Hospital, Japan's local media reported, citing ruling Liberal Democratic Party sources. Abe suffered a gunshot wound to the neck, according to officials. 2 shots can be heard in video footage of the incident. Malaysia's wholesale and retail trade set a new sales record in May 2022, growing by 19.9% year-on-year, the highest sales recorded since 2013. The increase is mainly attributed to the retail trade subsector, which rose by 29.9% year-on-year, and the wholesale trade, which expanded to 11.7% year-on-year.
Chief Statistician Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzir Mahidin said sales of motor vehicles also surged 20.1% YOY or 2.3 billion ringgit to 13.9 billion ringgit. Adding further, Muhammad Uzir said the retail trade subsector's growth was supported by retail sales in non-specialized stores, which grew 36.3% or 5.5 billion ringgit to 20.7 billion ringgit. Meanwhile, other groups also recorded positive growth, namely retail sales of cultural and recreation goods, retail sales of information and communications equipment, retail sales not in stores, stalls or markets, and retail sales in stalls and markets. At the same time, the expansion in wholesale trade was mainly due to growth in the wholesale of household goods, which increased 22.1%. Groups that contributed to the growth include other specialized wholesale, wholesale of agricultural raw materials and live animals, wholesales of food, beverages and tobacco, wholesales of machinery, equipment and supplies, wholesales on a fee or contract basis, and non-specialized wholesale trade. On a month-on-month basis, sales value of wholesale and retail trade in May 2022 increased by 1.4% from April 2022, contributed by the retail trade subsector, which rose by 5.1%. Meanwhile, Malaysia's Industrial Production Index (IPI) grew 4.1% in May 2022 from a year earlier, fueled by growth in the IPI's manufacturing and electricity components, while mining output shrank. In a statement, DOSM Chief Statistician Datuk Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzir Mahidin said the manufacturing and electricity sectors recorded increases of 6.9% and 2.8% respectively. According to the DOSM statement, Malaysia's May 2022 IPI's 4.1% on-year growth slowed from April 2022 4.6 on-year expansion. For January to May 2022, the IPI recorded an expansion of 4.4% from a year earlier. Meanwhile, for May 2022, the DOSM said Malaysia's manufacturing output based on year-on-year comparison increased 6.9% after recording a growth of 6.2% in April 2022.
Now wrapping up the 5 p.m. news, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin advises the public to be cautious of the COVID-19 Omicron sublineage BA.5 variant that has been detected in Malaysia, likely to be contagious. He said a total of 13 cases of Omicron sublineage variants were being closely monitored by the ministry as of June 30th. Meanwhile, Malaysia is experiencing a surge in COVID-19 infections again in the week preceding the Hari Raya Haji holiday this Sunday, July 10th. The Health Ministry recorded a total of 4,020 new COVID-19 cases yesterday, with 9 of them being import cases.
The latest figure shows a rise in the number of cases over the past week, with 1,918 cases recorded on Monday, 2,932 on Tuesday, and 3,561 on Wednesday. This also marks the first time in nearly 3 months that more than 4,000 cases have been recorded in a day since 4,006 cases were logged on April 24th. According to the Health Ministry's COVID Now portal, the increase in the number has brought the number of active cases to 33,839 as of midnight. The portal also reported 3 new deaths due to the coronavirus, increasing the cumulative number of lives lost in the country to 35,795. 2 of them died outside hospital facilities. Meanwhile, a total of 1,718 recoveries were recorded as of yesterday. Previously, the Health Ministry issued a public advisory about the 2 new subvariants of the Omicron strain, Omicron BA4 and Omicron BA5, on July 4th. It reminded Malaysians to adhere to the COVID-19 infection prevention measures and conduct regular self-testings to curb the spread of the disease.
That's all the time we have for TVS News at 5. I'm Henry Gui. Thank you for watching.